we're going to go through things in life. But one thing, that as long as we are alive, we should be able to decide, and we should be doing this, to decide how we're going to approach every situation in life, whether it be with how you're going to have your routine set up for you and your family time, whatever it may be. But as we are still alive, we as human beings have the willpower to decide what kind of atmosphere we're going to create for ourselves and for our family and for our children. How are we going to carry ourselves? How are we going to be a good example to those around us? And are we going to be a leader? Are we going to be a follower? Which one is it that what are we going to choose to do? We create our atmosphere, and it's up to us, the lifestyle that we want to live. So, as for me, I know that I'm not going to continue to live a cycle that came from generations back. I'm going to change the trajectory of things, and I'm going to break the cycle, and I'm going to break this curse that came from my mother and father's bloodline. I'm going to set an example and break these bad habits that came with the curse, so that way my children and their children and my family and everyone around me could see, and God will get the glory. If we feel like we're slacking, it's okay to admit, but what are you going to do to fix it? What are you going to do to change the circumstances? What are you going to do to take the proper step to save your marriage? Are you going to continue to allow Satan to be a puppet in your family and continue to pluck family member after family member every other month? And you see that the funeral home and the services and the family get-togethers is only when someone passes on that we come together. And it becomes normal to us, that we're used to it. It ain't nothing. And because we allowed it to become normal to us, we're not looking at the bigger picture. That Satan is taking our family out, and we're just sitting here comfortable in it and not looking at it from a spiritual point of view, because we're too busy living our lives that God himself gave us. We are breathing and our hearts beat every moment because of him. And we are here on earth with all the finest things that shouldn't even come before God. Luxury and traveling and doing all these fun things should come after God. The least you could do is give him 1 or 2 minutes every morning that you wake up, even if it's just to thank him and tell him, thank you for the breath and the air in my lungs. I'm grateful that you gave me life today. We have to recognize the bigger picture, even though we know we still got to live our lives. God knows. He understands. But as we're trying to figure out this walk with God and how we're seeing things different, and we realize that, dang, things may not be easy, but I see it. I see what he's doing. And because God is holy, like, this is the way he has to do things. This is the way he has to break me down. And if this is what it's going to take to save my entire family and to intercede on behalf of this nation and show that devil that I ain't giving up no matter what comes up against me. If I have to be the one to stand up and break these curses, then let it be so. Let it be in God's will. But I know that I'm not going to pretend like nothing's happening. This is bigger than the rejection and the hurt and the pain that you went through. This is spiritual. And yes, we don't fight against flesh and blood. That's why a lot of the times, we should be forgiving them for what they do, because sometimes they do the things that they know not. Because later on, they're like, dang, I did that. Well, let me tell you something. There are spirits that we are fighting up against, and that's why it's important for us to be strong in the spirits. God understands that we're still going to have to live our physical lives here on earth, but he's trying to prepare us for what's to come and teach us that this whole time that we were supposed to be walking in our spirit. I think that each and every one of us need to have our own personal walk with God. We need to go to Him earnestly, like with our hearts, and get to know Him. And like, if you have questions, go ask Him. And if you ain't got patience, well, you better gain some patience, because I mean, you're gonna be waiting on Him to respond to you, because at the end of the day, like, yes, like, we live on this earth, and this is life, we're gonna have problems. There's gonna be long suffering, there's gonna be things that we have to deal with and go through, and people that we have to deal with, you know what I'm saying? But when you learn how to walk in the Spirit, it's like, I'm telling you, when God's light shines upon you and His radiance, like, you have the favor of God everywhere you go. You pretty much, are walking in wisdom, in the knowledge of God. You're learning how to walk through the storms now like nothing. You're learning how to face those mountains and make those mountains low. No longer does their ignorance or what they choose to do or how they choose to live bother you anymore. God removed some people out of your life, and you're recognizing new people come into your life. Yes, it hurts, and you're really broken, but at the end of the day, if those individuals are meant to be in your life, then it'll be so. But if they ain't, then there has to be a reason for it. Just allow God to guide you and lead you into your purpose, and just try to learn how to walk in your spirit, man. You're gonna make it through life, but you need God.